Good morning, everyone. Thank you so much for having us here today. It's my pleasure to be up on stage with Melissa, who runs the Youth Empowerment Project in New Orleans. And you might be wondering how Allstate became connected with Melissa's group. We have a project called the Renewal Project, where we're trying to highlight grassroots innovation across the country through both a 24/7 presence on the renewalproject.com, but also through highlighting award winners. So Melissa's organization went through a process in this past year where over 3,000 groups were nominated to be Renewal Award winners. That number with the Atlantic was whittled down, and at the end of the day, we have 5 awards winners, and Melissa was one of those, so thank you for that. Melissa leads a group that mentors, educates, and helps young people prepare for success going forward, and young people in lots of different conditions in life. Some may have been coming out of the juvenile justice system. Some may be coming out of other sort of situations in life. Some may just need a boost in terms of how they're engaging as they become young adults. So we're really excited to highlight the work that she does. Before we start, we thought we'd show a little bit of video that gives you a feel for what YEP and the Renewal Awards are all about.
A lot of our young people rely on us as a safety net, as a support network, and we recognize that we can't judge anyone when they come through the door. When they come to us, they've dealt with a lot of trauma in their lives, they've had a lot of challenges in their lives, they're living in neighborhoods where we don't have great public transportation, where it's hard for folks to get to work, to get to school. So we have a responsibility to meet everyone where they're at and to do our best to provide them with the support they need to truly actualize their potential.
YEP is valuable to me because they genuinely care, they genuinely help you learn, and they genuinely want you to get better, like ahead in life. My favorite experience at YEP is the internships. The first internship I went to, it was a thrift store and a bike shop, and I worked there for 6 weeks, and I graduated, and I just loved it. I wanted to go back.
The most gratifying part of this job is when I see a young person and their families instill hope back in their dreams and their aspirations for their young person, or just seeing the young people out there playing basketball in the evening, knowing that it's safe and that the staff here going to protect them from whatever harm they may have fears that they may encounter in their own neighborhoods.
Back. 2-1.
When I was young, it wasn't really much to do out in the, so yeah, when I used to come here, I used to feel like home, I feel safe. So I started working here maybe last year, and I started a basketball program, to keep kids out the street, to have them come here, practice, and we have games on Fridays.
Accepting the Allstate Youth Empowerment Award, please welcome Melissa Sawyer, the co-founder and executive director of New Orleans Youth Empowerment.
We hear about all the things that are going wrong in this world and in this country, but what Allstate through the Renewal Awards has been able to do is to really put a positive light on all of the good things going on in this country, making a positive impact on the lives of those who really benefit from these services. There's so many truly good, hardworking, committed people who day in and day out are doing everything in their power to make this country a better place.
Thank you. So as I said, we're very focused on renewal and how people are solving problems at the local level. So we wanted to talk a little bit about YEP and what it's doing. So Melissa, you've been at it for 14 years. Can you just first lay out what Youth Empowerment Project is all about, what brought you to it.
Right, sure. And again, it's truly an honor to be here with you, and we're really grateful for the support of Allstate. I think something that I alluded to in the video was how many amazing people are doing amazing work around this country. And I have to say, being here for the past day and a half, it's really been inspiring and reassuring. And so again, I just want to really thank all of you that truly people in their own communities, whether or not you're having a national impact, an international impact, or a local impact, it takes all of us to do what we can with our skills and gift to make an impact. And this is truly a special group of people. So again, I feel very honored to be here. In terms of YEP's work, we started in 2004 as the first juvenile reentry program in the state of Louisiana. Louisiana is not known for being at the cutting edge of much that's progressive, including juvenile criminal justice reform. The three of us, we were all women who started YEP, had spent time doing statewide juvenile justice work, trying to help close juvenile prisons. We were all employees of the Juvenile Justice Project of Louisiana. We did an extremely good job of reducing the juvenile prison population, but at that time there were no services for kids who were reentering the community. So I think we realized, what are we doing if these children are actually safer in archaic prisons in 8.5 by 11 cells where they're not getting mental health services, they're not getting educational services, they're not getting vocational training. Some of these young people hadn't seen their parents in 5, 6, 7, 8 years. And so YEP was really formed because of a need to create a program that didn't exist. I think personally too, losing young people to the criminal justice system and losing young people to street violence, the 9, I guess, months leading up to starting YEP, 6 of the young men I worked with were murdered coming back to the city of New Orleans. And I think, that really resonated with us. We have to do something better. We have to stop what's going on in this community. We have a responsibility to help these young people.
So you talk a little bit about that the services are not there. Kids are coming out of the system. Other kids are in need. What have you learned through that process, and what are you most proud of having founded this organization and nurtured it over these over a decade?
So YEP's core purpose is to empower young people to improve their lives and the lives of others. And I think that it's that last part that we take really seriously. We try to model that behavior for the business community, for ourselves, and I think our growth has really been aligned with that. So over 80% of our staff are people of color. The vast majority live in the communities where our young people live. About 20% of our full-time and part-time staff are program graduates, really creating opportunities, paying family-sustaining wages, paying 100% of health benefits for our full-time staff to make sure that they're actually truly able to thrive and have the opportunity not just to contribute to their families, but also to society as a whole.
And what have you found has been some of the success points? So a young person walks into YEP, how do you help them prepare for the next stage in their lives?
And so as you all saw in the video, so we started as just doing juvenile reentry work and mentoring work, but the needs in New Orleans are still huge. Unfortunately, we still have the title of the #1 incarceration place in the world. So we incarcerate more folks than the country and the state. We also, unfortunately, are still, I think, #4 in terms of the number of homicides in our community. About 44% of African American males are unemployed. So we're looking at 37% of children living in poverty. So when we're looking at the immense need that exists, I think YEP has really grown trying to be responsive to that need. So we now divide our work into YEP Mentors, YEP Educates. We run the largest high school equivalency program for out-of-school young people, 16 to 24, or opportunity youth, young people disconnected from school and work. We do free enrichment services programming that you all are supporting, our free summer camp. And then we have 3 youth-run businesses. So you all saw the bike shop and the thrift store. Young people get training while earning educational stipends, which is so important. And then they can either do paid internships with us, externships with employer partners, or go directly to the workforce. We also have a creative digital media studio. So our young people designed our logo, worked on our website, and are also working on real-world projects. So again, really trying to create opportunities through our growth where we stay focused on our core values and our core purpose, but that we're also ensuring that we're really addressing the unmet needs that exist.
We do a lot of work on youth empowerment at Allstate, and seeing young people emerge as leaders is just so important. And that one-to-one mentorship is really valuable. But we also talk about at events like this, how do we scale up right? How we take this very intensive engagement that's so needed in order to put people on a certain path in life, or their path in life, and take it other places. So if you had advice to other communities that are thinking about taking on projects like this, starting a YEP in their community, what advice would you give them? And then what advice would you give to funders about how they need to engage if we really want to make an impact on this kind of work and these kind of outcomes?
So I think for folks who are interested in starting a nonprofit, I would just urge you to make sure that's what you want to do. Also to make sure that you are the right person to do that, that you actually have what may or may not be, but has a good chance of being a sustainable financial model. But I would argue that the nonprofit model is not sustainable. I would also say that there's so many folks doing good work. If you can collaborate, if you can partner, if you can actually just share resources as opposed to starting your own thing, I would highly encourage folks to do that. The nonprofit market is so overly saturated, and the amount of resources that we have available to us through individual donors and corporate support and the philanthropic community is so nominal. And like I say all the time, I believe that budgets are moral documents. You know what people believe in, you know what governments believe in, local, state, federal, by where they choose to spend their money. And unfortunately, it's underserved and vulnerable populations that are not receiving the dollars they need. So again, just be thoughtful about that, and also make sure we're adding value. We're not actually just adding competition to an already very, very difficult nonprofit space. In terms of funders, I would say, go deep, go long, go unrestricted. If you truly believe in the mission of the organizations you're supporting, they really need your help. And a 1, 2, or 3-year grant is just not going to change the social challenges that we're facing in this country. If you believe and invest in technical assistance and support, give flexibility with those dollars, when they can be spent, what they can be spent on, and then truly bring in your expertise so folks can work on succession planning, on building a reserve, on making sure that organizations will be there for the long haul, because there's nothing worse that we can do to a community to start something and then have to shut it down and pull those resources out. And after Hurricane Katrina, that is what we saw in New Orleans, where there was a huge influx of money, and in many ways I think an unintended consequence was that it was irresponsible philanthropy, that the balloon payment went away. We'd created this unsustainable landscape, but the needs continued to grow without that sort of corporate base. So I would also say listen to your grantee partners. That power dynamic is real. There is imbalance, and make sure that you are listening and being humble enough for them to help guide you and tell you what they need.
So last question. When you think about, you've been shepherding this organization for 14 years. It started as community reintegration. It's expanded since then. What are you most proud of? Is there one story that really sticks out to you of a life you've changed through this program?
There's one young man who was our 100th GED graduate. He had an ultimatum from a criminal court judge: go get your GED, go to jail for 2 years. He said, I'm going to go get my GED. I have one young child. He has turned out to be such an amazing leader. He was our first full-time employee who we hired as a graduate. He now spends time with our younger kids, mentors kids in our adult education programming, and is now a father of 3 kids, is an amazing father, truly committed, volunteering his time to do midnight basketball and other programs. And so I think that's what it's really about. But I would say, I think for me, when I think about what YEP does and what's most important, it's really simple, really. It's about letting young people realize that they have value in their lives, that they are valued by others, and that they can add value to their families and to their communities and to society. And I think that we need to give young people the opportunity to really feel that, and to be able to use their talents to help make the world a better place.
Thank you for that. We didn't know about YEP until we learned about them through the Renewal Awards. Someone nominated, and we're not even entirely sure who, nominated YEP for this national profile. And through our partnership, we were able to come to understand some of the top grassroots innovators, people who are really tackling problems in their local communities. So thank you for being here. Thank you for being an Allstate Renewal Award winner this year, and really look forward to working with you throughout the year.
Thank you.